Last week, Disney released their 60th animated film, Encanto, so I'm ranking all 60 animated Disney films from worst to best. Yesterday, I did my bottom picks for the worst. This is part 2, numbers 40 through 21, the ones that are pretty middle of the road. So let's get started. Number 40, Rescuers Down Under. Plot-wise, it's the same as Rescuers, but with trying to rescue a boy instead of a girl. But George C. Scott as the villain is great. This was the second film in the Disney Renaissance, and it's also the weakest film in the Disney Renaissance, because other than the villain, nothing about it really stands out. Number 39, Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. This is an adorable, simple movie. It's got very likable, innocent characters. It's harmless, nothing much to it. Number 38, Winnie the Pooh from 2011. Pretty much the same thing as Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. Cute, harmless, nothing much to it, except this one is actually really funny. There are a lot of quick jokes and gags that surprised me with how funny this movie was. And there are one or two songs in this movie that are actually really good. Number 37, 101 Dalmatians. Cute puppies doing cute puppy things. The only really memorable part about it is Cruella de Vil. Number 36, The Great Mouse Detective. This is a really creative homage to Sherlock Holmes. You got Vincent Price as the villain, who does these very big animated gestures, and he just has a delightful performance. I like this film fine. It's just not one of the top tier ones for me. Number 35, Sleeping Beauty. The only interesting character in this movie is Maleficent. She's animated well, her voice acting is well done, and she just enjoys being evil for the sake of being evil. But she's the only memorable part of this movie. All the other main characters are pretty thin. The prince only has like 6 lines, and his last line is "Goodbye, Father," and he doesn't speak again for the last 20 minutes of the film. So when your standout character isn't the main character, that's a problem. Number 34, Ichabod Mr Toad. It's great to teach kids about classic literature, especially from other cultures. I actually think this is one of the better movies on this mid-tier list. The stories are fun, the horseman's really scary, I really enjoyed this one. Number 33, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Same problem with Sleeping Beauty. The main character is boring. When your most memorable character is the villain and the side characters, the dwarves who have personality, who are literally their names, that's a problem. But if it weren't for this movie, we wouldn't have the great Disney movies, so we have to acknowledge it. Number 32, The Jungle Book. Personally, I think this movie should be more exciting than it is. It's still enjoyable, though. I like Baloo, it's got fun songs, but it's not top tier. Number 31, Alice in Wonderland. Creative visuals, fun adventure, memorable characters, not much else. Number 30, Pocahontas. This is one of the weaker Renaissance films. I never really got into it. The villain's pretty generic. Only 1 or 2 of the songs in the movie stand out. It's fine, I guess. Number 29, Bolts. A movie for kids who like talking animal movies. The plot doesn't really have high stakes. There's no sense of urgency, and Miley Cyrus was miscast because she was like 17 or 18 when she was cast in this movie, but the character she's playing is like 9 or 10, and so it sounds like a 17 or 18-year-old's voice coming out of somebody who's supposed to be 9 or 10. Like, I get why they cast her, because when this movie came out, Hannah Montana was like their big thing. Like, she was their biggest star, but they cast her more for namesake than they did because she was actually fit for the role. Number 28, Dinosaur. This is definitely ambitious for Disney because this was actually their first movie to be entirely CGI if you don't count Pixar, which for the most part, the CGI still holds up. The score in the movie is fantastic, the opening scene is very exciting, and then the animals start talking. This movie shouldn't have had any dialogue. I think score and visuals would have made this movie really stand out, but it just became another talking animal movie. It's very reminiscent of The Land Before Time. Number 27, Frozen 2. I like most of the songs in this movie, but the plot just isn't interesting. It spends so much time reminding the audience of things they liked about the first movie by referencing scenes and things from the first movie in the hopes that their love of the first movie will blind them to the weaker plot of this one. This is just a cash grab sequel with very little effort put into it. And also, let's take Olaf, who was okay in the first one, and then just give him a bigger role and make him very annoying. They did the same thing they do with the Minions, where they take like the comic relief character but give them a bigger role in the sequel and it ruins them. Number 26, Raya and the Last Dragon. There are 2 big problems with this movie. The first being that it's almost 2 hours, which is very long for an animated Disney film, and yet it's still not enough time to develop these characters, of which there are many. The film jumps from one thing to another very quickly, and it gets hard to keep track of what's going on. I compare it to the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender movie, where they try to squeeze an entire season of TV into 2 hours. And that's what this feels like. This is a very interesting world with very rich lore and mythology, but it would have worked better as a TV show. The second problem is the mixed messages. Throughout the movie, we're told, don't judge others, prejudice is bad, learn to trust people. And then when you let your guard down and trust them, they betray you. So the message is lost. Number 25, Beauty and the Beast. The animation in this movie is gorgeous. The songs are great, but it's Stockholm Syndrome message I just can't get behind. And also, the prince was cursed at like age 10 for obeying stranger danger. Why did the servants get cursed? No one remembers the prince. There's a lot of plot holes in this movie. Number 24, Hercules. Really fun songs. James Woods is great as the villain, but the plot is just Superman. A being with godlike powers sent to Earth is raised by farmers, learns he has powers, and learns lessons throughout the film. It's Superman in Greek mythology. Yeah. Number 23, The Little Mermaid. Except for Ursula, all of the characters in this movie are pretty bland, except for Sebastian. But the songs are fantastic, and the animation is spectacular. Number 22, Atlantis, The Lost Empire. This was so close to greatness. It has a fantastic setup with great mythology, but the last third, it all kind of falls apart. There's also a lot of weird tone shifts. It's trying to be a more serious movie, but then it also has really out-of-place kiddie humor. And number 21, Pinocchio. One of the few movies from the Golden Age where the main character is actually interesting. Unlike Snow White, Pinocchio actually grows and learns throughout the film. He's relatable, he makes mistakes, he learns lessons, he actually has a character arc. And this movie's pretty terrifying at some parts too. So there you have it. Come back tomorrow for the final part of this ranking where I'll be giving you my top 20 Disney animated films.